When one of your clients or a new client comes to you and says, I got the ERC credit, I need you to amend my income tax return, can I do it? What happens is back, I believe this was, in March of this year, the Office of Professional Responsibility came out with an opinion. Well, some people may say, what's the Office of Professional Responsibility? That's what regulates CPAs, enrolled agents, and tax attorneys on doing income tax returns. So when you're on these all this ERC scam going on, and they go, well, your practitioner, your CPA, your attorney, they don't know what they're talking about. Well, let me give you a clue, is that we have to determine if the client qualifies for the ERC before we can recommend to do it. All the scammers, they don't have to do that. They're not under that. But that's not the focus of this video. What this video is, again, about, the person, the small business, comes in and says, hey, Larry, I need you to do my amended returns for this ERC credit, because you have to reduce your deductions for the credit in the year that the credit applies, so which is 20 and 21. Sometimes that may be a new client or a client I've already done. So what is my responsibility? Let me show you. This is your responsibility if you're going to do the income tax return, the flow-through entities, the partnerships, the S-Corp, and the 1040s. And here's what your responsibility is. Practitioners who prepare income, employment, or other tax returns for a client have the duty of due diligence to inquire of the client with sufficient detail to ascertain information necessary to determine client's eligibility for ERC and to claim proper amount of ERC on the client's return. See, all these people on TV, they don't have to meet this aspect. All they got to do is sell the business on you qualify. And they don't sign anything. The other thing we have to realize is another thing in this opinion. So this is an opinion, and realize what it says here, who prepares income, employment, or other tax returns. So when that person comes into my office, whether they're a client currently or a new client, I now have to determine if they qualify for ERC in order to do the return. Secondly, if the practitioner cannot reasonably conclude that the client is or was eligible, then the practitioner should not prepare the original or amended return that claims or perpetuates a potentially improper credit. So here's the point out of this. If you don't know ERC rules and you do income tax returns, this says you can't do the return. If you do know ERC, then you've got to determine if they qualify. And if they're a client and you've already determined they don't qualify, then you can't do it. So we're in the last couple days of August 2023. With this guidance, I'm just like you, I'm frustrated. What do I do? Because especially if I've done the 2020 and 2021 returns, I have a responsibility from OPR, the Office of Professional Responsibility, to recommend to the client to amend the return and to assist them in amending the return. But this notice says I can't. So here's my answer for the next few weeks. Number one is, don't do the amended return yet. Because in another video, I talked about the Justice Department just arrested 3,100 people for COVID fraud. That was a couple of days ago. I believe the IRS is getting ready to take a position. And they should. Because I'm a taxpayer. And I am a tax professional trying to do it right. And with these restrictions, I can't. So hold off on doing the income tax return right now. The answer is near. But I think what happens is that I'm going to give you, if you decide to do that return, I'm going to give you a little insight on what may help you get there. You can either do it an 8275 disclosure that the return is taking a position, not in compliance with Treasury. I don't know that I could do that, but here's what I'm going to recommend. Again, I'm not authority. Recommendation is that if I've got that client sitting across the desk from me, I'm going to say, I don't care whether it's 2 pieces of paper or 200 pieces of paper, that's their document for the ERC. I'm going to say, I only need 1 of 2 things. Actually 3. 1, did they do a gross receipts test? On these fraudulent ones, you're probably not, most of them are erroneous, I might want to say. You're not going to see the gross receipts test. Here's what it comes down to. Say, show me the mandates you provided to the ERC scammers, the whatever you want to call them. You know what you're going to find out? See, I went secret shopping and then finally just sent them a CPA and they still qualified me. About 16 different times. Never once they tell me no, but never one time did they ask me for a mandate, period. And the period it involved, because they gave me this neat little list. I've used it a couple times in other videos. The lists look like they're every time. They qualified me through a list. So if that business comes in and said, well, here's how I qualified, and it's this list, this is repeated. I mean, I got other ones here. That didn't qualify them. So you have an erroneous. So you need to say, hey, I can't amend the return. We need to work to get you back, to refund that back. I can't do your return because I'm participating. So right now, hold off. I believe the IRS is in a hopefully in the next few weeks, is going to give some guidance on how to get it right. But I think the biggest thing is the IRS has to take a stand on the fraudulent or erroneous ERCs. And I think that's why I'm saying right now, hold off on filing that return. And as soon as I know something, I will update you. Sorry for the situation. I'm in the same situation. But you know what? I have yet to have a client after I went through and said, show me what was your mandated period. And then use those lists I just showed you to show that it was more than nominal impact while only the period of the mandate. Don't know anything about ERC. Just look for the period of the mandate. And if the 941Xs cover more time than that mandated period, it's about 99% possibly fraudulent. I'll see you on the next video. Watch for the news. Thank you.